Welcome back, everybody, to Comic Shop Talk on the Late Night Collectors community. I'm your host, Nico, and joining with me today, as always, my co-host, Chris. How you doing?
Hey, not too bad. How are you?
Not bad, not bad. You know, we were just talking. We're trying to survive the first big snowfall of the year here in Canada, and the city of Toronto. It hasn't been too bad. We've gotten lucky thus far, guys, in terms of our weather. So yeah, it's been an interesting weekend in that regard, right? But here to talk about some comics, as always, this week. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, guys. Make sure to hit that like button, that thumbs up, or the notification bell to be notified of when these shows do go live weekly. The days differ. Usually lately it's been by Monday of the basically towards more of the tail end of the new week of comic book releases that's been coming out, but sometimes it differs depending on our schedules and like how fast we read our books. So definitely hit that notification bell to be notified of when these shows do come out, to give you a kind of like a little bit of a heads up. You can also follow us on Instagram at Late Night Collectors Community. And yeah, check out our playlist of a bunch of episodes here, over 100 here. Like I said, this is episode 110. So we can also go back and check back a couple weeks ago if you missed out on it. Our year-end kind of like review of like our favorite things that we've read this past year, the Comic Shop Talk Awards, our second annual episode. So yeah, we added some new categories on this year, and those are always a lot of fun. So make sure to go check that out, guys. That's a longer episode, as well as last week's. We talked about 2 weeks in one, kind of the last week of the year and the first week of the new year. So yeah, some good episodes have been going out lately. So go back and check that out, guys. This week, we're going to be talking about the new comics that came out for the week of January 10th, 2024. And as always, spoiler warning, be forewarned. We are going to be talking about what happens in some of the books here today. There will be spoilers as we get into what happened to give our reviews, as well as, we're going to be showing off some of the art too. But yeah. If you guys aren't afraid to kind of to check these reviews out, it's always worth it. Sometimes they'll get you interested in maybe something you weren't reading necessarily. I forget what happened yesterday. So, I mean, for me, if I hear a spoiler, it's just like, I just carry on. And then like, I usually forget by the time I get around to it. So it's all good. All right, Chris, that all being said.
All right, it was a banger of a week, so let's talk comics.
Cheers. Let's talk. This isn't water, by the way. I drank my last beer earlier this afternoon while I was sitting around reading. So break out some of the liquor here. Talk some comics though, guys. And yeah, I'm glad you said that, Chris. I wasn't sure if I was going to preface the conversation by kind of revealing that, but I agree with you. This was a really strong fucking week of comics. Honestly, this is probably like for me in terms of the stuff I picked up, especially really, really strong week. Like it was one of those things where I don't know about you. We've actually never talked about this. It's a little bit of detour, but I just want to quickly ask you, how do you arrange your comics in terms of like, is it the most anticipated thing that you put to the top of your stack, or do you leave that for last? Because everyone's a little bit different when it comes to that. Like, I don't know if you do it by companies. Some people do all Marvel and all DC together. Like me personally, I go by most anticipated to least anticipated in my pile, right? And that's why sometimes when the least anticipated issues sometimes hit a certain way, that's even better for that title once that happens, because I'm like, if it's at the bottom of my stack and it's a great issue, I'm like, oh, great job, right? Because sometimes I'm like, this hasn't been great lately. How about you? How do you arrange your stack when you read it?
Well, usually I read the DC on the Tuesdays because they come out a bit earlier. And usually I just read the ones I want, or the better ones first, unless like it's a heavy week of a lot of the same type of story or the same character type of stories, then I might save a good one for the end.
Right.
And same thing with Marvel when I get them. I try and there's always my most anticipated I'll read first for sure.
Same.
And then after that, I'll kind of just play it by ear, and depends what I have.
Yeah, I try to do that. I'm similar. And then I do try to switch it up sometimes with like most anticipated with like doing a couple of superhero books and then like an indie, like, you know what I mean? I try not to read Batman books one after another, because sometimes I don't like doing that kind of shit where it's just like, this is too much Batman all at once, right? Or something like that. But yeah, I'm the same. But the reason I said that is this week was a struggle in putting it all together. Like, I'm like, I don't know what to read first. There were several books here where I'm like, this has been really good lately. So, but anyway,
I know what I read first this week. It had to be Ultimate Spider-Man.
Okay, that was mine as well. That was mine. But the book I probably read right after that is this first one up here on the docket, guys, and that's Rise of the Powers of X #1. Got my issue right here. So
Yeah.
speaking of banger comics, this is another great start here, I think, for some of this X-Men stuff. What'd you think of this, Chris?
Thought this is a great comic here again. This House of X stuff, I don't know why it's getting such bad press, or not House of X, whatever this Krakoa era that they're talking about. And this one here, freaking, there's a lot going on. Everybody's dying. At least I believe they're dying. Like, doesn't Gambit kind of sacrifice himself here early in the issue? And you're sort of left with, a band. The only thing I didn't like was that the Iron Man is just an AI imprint stuck in his latest suit. I was hoping that the
I like
Iron Man would be there somehow, but I guess not.
Well, I like that. That tracks for me for something that Iron Man would have to do, essentially, right? Like with his technology. I think that makes all the sense in the world. But I hear what you're saying. But he's not a mutant, right? He's a human. So, like, of course, he's gonna die. What is this? 100 years in the future? What is this?
10 years in. Isn't it 10 years plus?
Yeah, you're right. It's 10. Sorry, I'm thinking of the last one that they did where it was like 10, 100, 1,000. Yeah, well, I don't know. With all this mutant stuff going on, I mean, chances are he may have died. He is a human after all, right? Like I expect it from some of these mutants to still be alive. And even Psylocke here, or what's her name? Not Psylocke. Kate Pride, who is what's her name lately? And
well, yeah, what if she's got some power upgrade here too, or something? I'm not sure what she did to get it, but
she's undead here. She's like a zombie essentially, like now.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Wolverine always alive in any scenario, always still kicking, right? So that didn't surprise me. And I don't mind Ms. Marvel being Captain Krakoa either. Actually, that's kind of cool. Actually, I do that. I think she fits that role. Honestly,
I don't mind it either. But she didn't have to be Captain Krakoa. There could have been so many other characters, but I didn't feel like that she's being pushed too hard or kind of rammed down our throats there.
Yeah.
And the stuff with Nimrod and that Omega Sentinel or whatever, that's all interesting stuff. They're waiting for them basically to ascend to become gods, and just a lot of action and kind of storytelling going on that I really enjoyed. And then I guess the spoiler at the end is their plan on how to try and reset everything if everything goes awry. And just the way things are looking, everything is going awry here. So we'll have to see what happens. I'm looking forward to the rest of the series here.
I even love this whole explanation of how they use like the supreme intelligence, like this new kind of like amalgamation of like all these things that basically are composed that become like the supreme intelligence for them. Like that's just a lot of really cool ideas that he's throwing out there in this issue that that we can't really fully follow up on everything because it is in the future, right? I love when they kind of do that stuff where they're like, oh, you're like, what the hell's going on here? How did this happen? Right? And they don't need to explain everything. You got to try to fill in the blanks, like, and your mind trying to wrap around the fact, like, how did this character get to this point, like in this future setting, right? I've enjoyed when they've done that kind of stuff throughout this series, like they have. But I got to tell you, I actually enjoyed this one better than the last week's one, the Jerry Duggan one, to be honest with you. This Kieran Gillen one, I enjoyed this one, I think, over the what was it? This is Rise, and the other one was Fall, or
the last one with that Cyclops, the trial of Cyclops or whatever, was the last one, that Fall of the House of X or something.
Yeah, which was good. I remember we talked about it. I liked it, but I think this one was a little bit stronger, honestly, in story and art. I kind of liked where this was going, this one, and some of the ideas that they were putting out there. And like you said, like, I'm interested to see what happens next, man. Some big stuff building up in this one, and all the sinister stuff that Kieran Gillen has had cooking.
Oh yeah, forgot about him in there too.
Series, right? So, it's Rasputin X or whatever her name is.
Rasputin 4
or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all just great characters in here, and just good stuff all the way through.
Oh yeah, then there was this thing here too. Isn't this person like a celestial or something? No, I am Enigma. Once a mortal man, but now I am an AI. I am your new god.
Yeah, that's not like the god of the robots or whatever, the Sentinel or the Nimrod or something.
That was really cool too. Yeah, just some interesting stuff going on here, man. I can't wait for the next issue that yeah, between the two of them, like you said, I don't understand why it's getting some mixed reviews, but I got to tell you, I think it's just because the X-Men fans, it's a fickle fan group, man. The X-Men fans are never pleased. It's true. I mean, there's a lot of like hardcore X-Men fans where I feel like I've heard that said they haven't been a fan of this era. But you know how we feel. We keep saying it. We've been enjoying this era of the X-Men, and I think both these books have been really great. I'm looking forward to seeing these through to their conclusion, kind of ending out
Yep,
this.
for sure.
Yeah. So, what'd you give this out of 5?
Yeah, definitely a 4.
I gotta give it a 4.25 because I think I give the last one a 4. So I'm gonna give this one a little bit more than that one because I think I liked this better than Fall of House of X. But yeah, great issue. All right, speaking of great issues here, guys, we got Ultimate Spider-Man #1. Holy cow!
I got a couple. I got 2 issues of this one here. I got there's a Scott Campbell. Sorry, J. Scott Campbell.
Very nice.
And then I got this. I think it's a Stegman there with the family.
You
Meet the Parkers.
I wanted that cover, and at the time of pre-ordering, they didn't reveal that cover yet. Like, it wasn't in the solicits. It was just like, sometimes they just put the name and it's just like this artist variant or whatever. So whenever I put my pre-orders in, this one wasn't in there. So then I ended up with this one, which is also one of the variants. But it's the opposite of the Marquez one, where this is also Marquez, but you know how Marquez had like 4 of the same type of cover, but just different variants. This is the other image that he did essentially. So I'm glad I got this one, but like I wanted that one with him and the family that you got there. That's a nice one. And of course,
Jason, this comic is a hot ticket. Like when I pulled in to my comic shop to pick these up, I go, "You want both of these?" I go, "Well, yeah, I do."
Yeah,
and thing like at my local comic shop, people are calling in for this comic.
Yes,
and just what I've been reading online is that it's out there and it's selling like hotcakes.
Sold out like throughout the city. Yes, you're absolutely right. Yeah, like there's people that were coming in, and even on my LCS after the release of it, that were asking for it, and they were like, "No, we sold out of that within like 2 days." Right? And they had a lot of copies. So yeah. So what'd you think, man?
The first read through, I thought, it's just a whole new world, and freaking the Cicchetto, is that Marco Cicchetto? Is that his name? Yeah. That art is freaking killer for this. Well, it's all killer all the time, whatever this guy does. But this is just good art there, and then the new world that you're in, with Ben Parker working at the Daily Bugle, getting J. Jonah Jameson back in the picture, kind of seeing where he is, and and how can you not talk about the family and just the way things go here? But what I have to say is, after a few days down the road, just kind of letting that story stew in my mind, I don't know if this story tracks for me. Like, there's just so many questions I have. Hopefully they're going to be answered throughout the way, and that is part of the fun. Mm-hmm. But like I said, I can't see how Spider-Man gets his power or how Peter Parker gets his powers here. Thought that was interesting. But why he would take it, I don't know. Why he was always freaking moping around this whole story. You get an idea at the end why he is, but he's, I feel like I'm missing part of my life. This guy's living the freaking life here. He's got, anyways. But that's my take on it.
I loved this. I thought it was a great new start. And like you said, like I just think that he made like smart choices. Like it's not like we haven't ever seen an alternate Spider-Man thing where like Uncle Ben survived. Like that's been done before, but the choice to make him Jonah's partner at the Bugle, I thought was really excellent. Like that was my favorite part about this issue, outside of the family stuff. But because again, we have seen alternate takes on like the Renew Your Vows universe. We've seen them with kids and stuff like that, but they had spider powers in that, whereas that's not the case here. But I actually think this even made the last mini series where I was a little like, I thought it was like a so-so kind of setup in terms of the Ultimate Universe stuff, but I felt like this first issue strengthened Hickman's setup of this new Ultimate Universe mini series. I felt like with kind of talking about like even like the little blurb at the start of the issue or explain kind of better what exactly happened and how that occurred. Like I like the idea of I guess what you're saying is true. Like why would he choose to still become Spider-Man when he had this great life and like, you know what I mean? This like he doesn't he doesn't need to do this. He doesn't have the great.
Yeah, there's nothing kind of driving him to become Spider-Man. It's not like, he
Right.
had the choice, I got to go save my family or anything. He's just, I feel like something's missing in my life, and whatever. He gets that
Right.
message from Tony Stark saying, or I guess it's Tony Stark, Iron Lad, saying, hey, this is who you're supposed to be. If you want it, here it is.
But I did find that whole scene, like, it kind of made me even appreciate the lead-in miniseries now, whereas before it kind of left me wanting. I felt like after we read that, I was like, well, what was the point of all this? Like, what are we doing here, right? Like, I felt like he didn't really flesh it out enough to, like, you know what I mean? But like, then in this issue, I thought, like, if you had read the Hickman Ultimate Universe kind of lead-in miniseries to this, I thought it complemented it pretty well, actually, that whole setup, and like the understanding now that because of the creator there, what's his name, or what the fuck is his name? Not the master, the evil
Maker.
The maker, thank you. The evil Reed Richards. Yeah, like, because of that, him doing that, this whole like I like how this is starting up again when it just basically was never to be. Like, he did something to like make this universe cease to exist, and now because of that, we're getting it just makes sense that we're rebooting the Ultimate Universe based on what he did. Like, we're getting another fresh start as a result of what happened with that miniseries, and what the maker, who went from the Marvel Universe 616 over back here to create this new thing, but fuck things up in the process. Essentially, we're getting a new kind of lease on life, kind of new Ultimate Spider-Man series as a result of that. And I just think Hickman, I really love him as a writer. I wasn't sure the voice of what he was going to bring to a Spider-Man comic. And after that recent God series, where I feel like it was a huge letdown, this was just fucking excellent. I'm like, this is the most like down to earth fucking Hickman like approach I feel like I've ever read in terms of a comic, and it just he did it excellently. Like, the Kingpin showing up in this was great. I love this start, man. I thought this was a great first issue, and you couldn't even ask for more. I feel like in terms of a setup for a first issue, and the Chichetto art. I get your doubts, though. I see what you're saying in terms of like, wondering like, why would he go out and do this when he has this great life in this, right? Aunt May's dead. That's the other spoiler, I guess. That's instead of Ben, it's May, and she got killed as a result of what the maker did. Now, that's the other thing, Chris. Maybe that's why he feels like he has to do something, because it was revealed that all this was his aunt's life was snatched away as a result of what he did, right? Maybe that's.
I'm not like down on this series at all, though. I'm all in. I'm loving it. But like I say, just kind of thinking about the story afterwards, I'm looking forward to more for sure, though.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't mean to say that. I know you're not down on it. I just like I do have questions too, like you, but I think that's good. I think that out of the first issue, that's what you want. You want to be interested in seeing what happens next, right? If
for sure, yeah.
This is just a horrible take, and we're just like, oh, that's enough of this. But no, this was good, man. This was really fucking good. Yeah, I guess we'll see what happens.
I'm down for seeing what happens, and I give this an easy 4.25. Maybe even more.
4.25. What are you doing, man alive? I give it a 5. 5.
Oh, come on, 5.
Put the rooftops. Best issue of the year so far. It's great.
Easy now.
Yeah, no. No easy. It's 5. There's a 5. Put some respect on its name, Chris.
Gotta show me. Coming up.
All right. Next up, guys, we got.
What's he even doing working at freaking the Bugle, anyways? This guy should be a scientist. But anyways, we'll talk about that. We'll see. We'll figure things out later on.
More to come on that, guys. Transformers number 4. I'm just glad he didn't drop the ball.
Yeah, for sure.
Honestly, after all the hype behind this. So, Transformers 4 at this cover here.
Yeah, got my copy here too.
All right, what'd you think, Chris?
Another banger issue. I loved it.
Yeah,
and just the violence in this issue too, with Starscream. When I was worried about having this human element, and the humans would be hokey, whatever. Optimus Prime is rushing, I don't know, Spike, whatever, to the hospital, and they get him there and they're trying to save him, and then Starscream shows up and he realizes that the squishy ones are healed here. And then he just turns around and he blows up the hospital, and he actually does it when I read that, I'm like, whoa, perfect. I love this. It's beautiful. It's exactly what he'd do. And he can do it. And some of the fight scenes in there, I'm getting some power bomb vibes in there. I think someone gets suplexed earlier on.
Yeah.
And yeah, just freaking more great stuff. You got a nice tease at the end of Megatron. And yeah, we'll see it. This is another great issue. I'm loving this Transformers stuff. And yeah, we'll see how this goes. How do you feel about this issue?
Oh yeah, great action, great story. Moving the pacing's been excellent, moving this series along, and then it's kind of keeps putting us in this whole position where they're running out of options. These guys on both sides, they're both trying to like find Energon in a world where it doesn't exist, and to basically keep their people alive and sustaining. And the most fucked up part about this issue, I thought, was when they came to the realization that they have to basically start feasting on their fucking dead bodies.
The cannibalism there with one guy.
Like when Starscream basically, like, they bring their injured back, and I forgot which one's the injured guy.
That was the other Jet. I forgot what his name is, but it's another.
Yeah, Jetfire. No, that's
not Jetfire, like Thundercracker or something. I don't know what it was, but
so he brought him back, and they're both like looking at each other, and they're just like, "Oh yeah, that's what we got to do." And like,
we need some parts, buddy. He's like, "What?"
We have no choice, right? And like, it's just funny because I think in this issue it illustrates perfectly the parallel between Optimus Prime, who will sacrifice himself before he has to sacrifice his people, and Starscream was just like, fuck it, let's just start like ripping these guys apart, right? Like, and yeah, it's pretty brutal. And this is the scene you were talking about here. I think it was like Cliff Jumper or one of them that did like a suplex, or
yeah.
It was pretty sick. Like, he's busting out wrestling moves for sure. DWJ, of course, being a wrestling fan. I love that these fucking the Transformers are just busting out some wrestling moves in this. But yeah, this is a good part too. Him saving the hospital by like powering it up, essentially. Like, so I know you're not as huge on the human element of this story so far, but I think it is important. I think to kind of sustain the relationship between humans and Transformers.
Well, I do enjoy the reason why he's doing all this is because he brought. He's responsible for the Decepticons being there, and yeah, this at the end. And is that not Megatron's gun?
It is. Yeah, that's the big fucking reveal of this issue. I was like, holy shit. Even me, who's not like a huge Transformers fan, I recognize that. And the fact that he salvaged that fucking arm, because then you get to the next page and it shows, I guess, his body in the ice there from like before.
He has no arm. I didn't realize that part. Ooh,
that's him. Nice. That's him, right? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I'm sure there's Megatron there.
So I think what's going to happen is, if my guess is, they're basically both going to rush to maybe get his body out of the ice here now. Now, I know that I like how he also didn't lead off this series with Megatron being the main antagonist on the Decepticon side, but like, you got to have him come at some point, right? Sure. So the fact that it's leading us maybe to that point now, and that he's strapped on his fucking hand cannon there at the end. I was like, oh, that's fucking badass, man. Like, this image was everything for me this week. I was like, holy fuck, that's crazy. So yeah, good stuff, man. Good issue, and it's been a good series. DWJ just with another banger as always, right? He's put good work. What'd you give this?
I'd give this a 4.5.
Same. Yeah, same. Good stuff. All right, next up we got Sacrificers number 6 here this week. All right, Chris.
Same thing here.
What'd you think about this one?
I think this one moves the story along. Freaking that little pigeon boy seems to get back into the real world, and that stuff with Luna and I don't know what the king's name is or whatever. Mm-hmm. I guess we can see their points of view and their arguments in there. And I just have one question though. With the daughter, where she's kind of, I don't know if whoever's trying to suck the power out of the daughter, that's not the pigeon's father though, is it? Like he's almost like the scientist or something.
Yeah, he just happens to be another bird creature.
Okay, so that's not the pigeon's father from earlier or whatever. Okay.
No.
I didn't think so, but
no.
But even still, like, the story's moving along, and I'm still surprised I'm interested in this story. being as sort of all unknown characters to me, or I guess to everybody. But it's moving along pretty good, and with that the princess and the pigeon boy, he kind of finds out that she's one of the elite, and he's ready to freaking, he's ready to leave her in the dust because he knows what's happening, or he sees the bones of all the people that are the sacrifices.
Yeah.
It's
And
it's moving along.
And he gets the drops that they pulled from her power, essentially.
Yeah, so did he get powered up there when those drops hit him? Because it looks like he kind of gets he's got some superpowers working up there when he's fighting off some of the bad guys there.
That's why, because when that's what ends up happening when he saves their fucking ass after they get shunted out into like the disposal here of like all the dead bodies, and those bad guys start attacking them. When he starts taking them on, and he's like, I don't know what the hell's going on, like where the strength is coming from. She's like, oh, I know. And then she gets pissed off at him because, you stole my fucking essence, essentially. And then she's like, I need your help. And he kind of is like done with her at that point because he's like, you're part of the upper crust elite people.
Yeah, you're part of the problem.
You're part of the issue. Yeah. And he's just like, fuck you. And he just left her there, essentially. Right. Meanwhile, her mother gets killed. This is a big fucking issue. This is the end of the arc, this issue. Okay. And this is my favorite fucking issue of the series yet, because a lot happens in this. And that, again, I feel like we didn't see any of this coming, because this has been a weird paced story.
Yeah.
That it's been going off, the characters that we've been focused on, but he masterfully, Remender, just put everything fucking together in this issue, and just like everything like just happened in this one. Like, and this was like, again, my favorite issue of the series so far. The only thing was in the letter column, as they tend to do with these creator-owned series, to kind of keep the artist on board, like drawing this series like at the pace that he is. He said in the letters column that I think there's now going to be the break of like a 3-month gap between this.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. This isn't a series, that you need to read, issue after issue. That, well, I hope they take their time and kind of just keep the story going and keep the quality up, because I think this has been great so far.
Exactly. And that's what you got to do with these series. Do keep the quality up. And I'm okay with that too. But yeah, he says here, issue 7 comes back in April. And he said in the letter column of this issue. So I just wanted to mention that. But so if you guys missed out on this, pick up the first trade, because I'm sure that's going to come out within that 3-month period, which normally that's how they do it. In between arcs, the trade drops to catch people up, because this is just I think this is, like you said, a very unexpected. I mean, I checked this out for Remender because I always check out everything he does, but to sell this book to somebody, like in terms of like an elevator pitch, it's a weird book, but it's really fucking good. The art's great. And I can't wait to see what happens next with this storyline, man. It's just brutal. And I didn't see any of this coming. So very, very cool stuff. What'd you give this?
Easy 4.25.
I mean, I give this a 4.5 as well. This is my favorite issue of the series. So yeah, strong books from Image, man. Some good stuff for that read. Yeah. All right. So next up, I got Wesley Dodds, The Sandman, number 4. This is continuing the 6-issue miniseries of this character from DC Comics. And I mean, the highlight of this story throughout for me has been Riley Rossmo, the artist on this series. And the story's been good too. But this, again, is a standout issue, and I think, again, the best issue of the miniseries so far. And in the last issue, he kind of faced off against this guy who's basically impersonating him. He stole his gas mask, his like get up, and his chemicals that he uses in his gas guns and stuff like that. And he's kind of parading around pretending to be him. And he catches up with him. And during the fight, he hits him with one of the canisters that puts him in sort of some hallucinogenic state. And he's all fucked up after the battle. He's kind of like left for like, all fucked up there in the wreckage of his burnt down home where he found this guy. And then you get all these kind of great double page spreads, kind of like detailing stuff to come or stuff that has already happened. Like you have some like JSA type moments here and like stuff that happened in his life. And, the fact that, he may have suffered from obviously some PTSD stuff from the war and things like that. And like, just like his whole methods, he kind of like really reanalyzes his life and kind of his purpose essentially in this issue, because he's in his head after he had hit with this canister of chemicals right in his drug, and he almost dies. And then basically he goes and he figures out who he thinks is responsible for this stuff, and he goes to his father's old guy who works for the military, essentially, that helps him get these contracts. He thinks that he's responsible. He goes there and he finds the guy who took him out, basically with like, like the piano wire type shit, like from behind, trying to like kill this guy. And he ends up interrupting this whole situation and saving him as a result. And, they tussle, the guy escapes, and he kind of lives to see another day. But basically at the end of this issue, he's like, well, you know where this is all leading me. He's convinced that the guy who's behind trying to steal his work, his life's work, essentially wants to do it, use it for more harm than good. He doesn't believe in his, his approach to kind of like gassing people as a non-threatening way of taking out people during a war. Not basically not taking lives as a result, right? So the military man, he basically, he thinks it's him who's involved in all this. So next issue, Sandman versus the U.S. Army, and that's where he's going next. So yeah, this is another really great issue, and I think the best one yet. The story has been building and building to an interesting place, and I give this a 4.25. Great Riley Rossmore, good series. And then next up, we got, I'll definitely be picking that up in trade when it comes out. I've been reading that one digitally. Then we got KF14 here this week. I think this was my favorite non-superhero book possibly that I gave this past either that or under I gave it some sort of award a couple of episodes ago, guys. Check out our award, year-end award show, because I do really love this book, and I think I gave it that award as my favorite non-superhero type book here. But favorite non-DC Marvel book, I think I gave it. But yeah, this is another good issue, moving the story along. She's like in a new world now with new kind of antagonist type people, like characters that they may be up against, or she's trying to get them to work with her, but they're not really up to the tasks, it seems, of helping her out. And a lot is more revealed about her brother and his special abilities and his powers in this issue, and like he can kind of morph into like animals and stuff now. And you're kind of learning a little bit about, why he was granted those powers in this issue. It's kind of just explained a little bit more. Like he knows, and we know as readers, but Kea, his sister, doesn't know. And, they're in this new kind of land with new creatures. And he's, like I said, she's trying to get to work with them to go up against the main bad guy, which is like these army of robot type creatures that they've been fighting in this series. So, yeah, so good stuff, good art as always. But I think in terms of like a standout issue, I think this was just like, more just moving the story along, but good nonetheless. I give this a 3.75 out of 5, but always a good time reading this book, and I enjoy when it comes out. And next up, we got Avengers #9. Chris, not sure if you read this or not this week, or you didn't.
I think I did give it a quick read. Yeah, I just always like to keep up what's going on in the Avengers, but once again, this Avengers sort of whole run hasn't been my favorite. And once again, oh yeah, I remember this one. So they're I don't know who they're fighting, but basically it's 5-on-5. And when they first meet, or in their first sort of confrontation, each character or each Avenger seems to be equally matched with the person they're fighting, and then they realize, oh, let's do a little do-si-do and switch up partners, and everything's magically better. So, yeah, I'm glad I sort of dropped this one, and that's too bad that this has sort of gone the way it has.
Agreed. And I think that's the problem with this series, and I'm sure we're sounding like broken records at this point. And I like to check in on this book too, but I think we're running out of things to talk about on this. Even though me and Chris have both dropped the book now or reading it digitally, it may not be something I continue to even read digitally or talk on the show unless like a big thing happens in the book, because yeah, it's the most forgettable thing I've read this week, and that's sad to say. The art's good. The writing is so lackluster, though. Like, it's weird because like the other couple of things I read and talked about last week with Jed McKay, the Moon Knight books, the Doctor Strange stuff, all great. But this is like his most, like, I feel like I'm phoning it in fucking book that he's doing. And it's just like you said, like, I feel like we've seen this same scenario play out in the first arc of the Avengers already that he kind of wrote. Right? It's so, yeah, we're all going to switch opponents. Like, what is this? Like, it's like, come on now. And I feel like
when he was doing this, he had some sort of plan or something, like some big reveal, or maybe it's them living in that freaking Forbidden City or whatever they're doing. That was supposed to be the great thing, but whatever it is, it's not so great. And yes, like you're saying, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but
no, it's all right.
It's just been mid, as they say.
Yeah, I mean we've had 9 issues of them fighting and no character development on a team full of interesting characters. Explain
Yeah.
that to me. Like you got to mix it up, man. I'm not against fucking superheroes fighting against bad guys. I mean that's the whole, that's the bread and butter of superhero comics. But have some character development, have some interesting moments, have some moments where they're not just talking to each other while fighting across the battlefield. Like, oh yeah, all right, Vision, you do this. On, they have a sit down moment. I haven't seen them sit down with each other. Like, what
Yeah.
is this? Like, what kind of fucking team book is this? Like, it's like I don't think he knows how to write team books. I think that's the problem that we're experiencing here. Unless, like, I don't know what he's going for here. I don't know how you can miss so bad on this book and then be, I feel like, doing a great job in the other things that he's writing. But I guess
Yeah.
you can't always hit it out of the park, right? So, I don't know. What'd you give this?
Yeah, it's 3.25, 3, whatever you want.
3. Yeah, 3 out of 5 for me this week. Yeah, just very forgettable. Then next up, we got Outsiders number 3. I'll bring this up. I don't know if you recall this book either. Let me see here. Outsiders number 3. This is where they go see all the Bat women and Batmen and
Oh yeah, I did give this a read. Yeah, they're stuck inside a Batman's head or something like that.
yeah.
Yeah, these are sort of wacky stories. I'm not buying it. I just read it online. I don't feel like I wasted my time reading it. So it's okay stuff. There's some of the solicitations looks like some big things are happening, but it's kind of kooky. But I am down for a good read.
I like the one and done approach to the stories that they've been doing and obviously planetary fashion because that's what they're basically trying to copy here. But the problem is I've seen the same type of shit that they're doing in this issue done so much better in other things, right? Like, and especially after we've had so many Elseworld type stuff. We literally have a Batman, alternate Batman's things going on in his head happening in the Zdarsky stuff right now, and it's fucking 10 times better than whatever they fucking tried to do in this issue. That's the problem. Also, I don't love the artists on this series. I know it sounds like I'm shitting on it, but I kind of am. I didn't love this. I want to like this series more, but I just don't think it's rising to the occasion of what I was hoping this would be. Like, I think the ideas are solid, but yeah, this was cool seeing all the different Bat women, but like again, I feel like we've seen this in other books already where they've done shit like this, and I don't. We've literally seen this whole Batman shit happen right now in the Zdarsky book.
Yeah.
All these alternate versions of Batman. It's a little bit different the approach, but not by much. I feel like, and I just think that book does it better. And this is one of those artists where I feel like he looks good in some panels, and then other things not so much. Some wonky looking panels and some other pages in this book. So I don't know. I'm not. I might still read this online. Like I said, I'm also just reading it online, but yeah, I want to like it more than I am. Unfortunately, what'd you give this? You think out of
3.5 for this? Nothing crazy.
I gotta give this one a 3 out of 5. Next up, Action Comics 1051. I actually picked this one up. Oh, and it's the first one Chris did not pick up, I see.
Well, I think I had it on my pull list, but maybe it didn't make it to me. But I did read it, and I hope I do get it because I thought this was a great issue. Like it surprised me how good it was. It's the beginning of a new arc. I remember reading the solicitations, old Bizarro. There was that Shazam issue last week where they had the Bizarro Shazam, and I kind of bagged on that. But with this Bizarro Superman, I know he goes to that magic world and he just messes them up there like heavy duty. And he's coming back, and he's sort of he's on a mission, whatever he's up to. He's got the power to do it now. It seems he seems absorbed all those magic people there, and I'm not too sure about the way he talks. That was sort of driving me up the wall. And then I think they did make some sort of adjustment in the mid issue where he puts out some spells so he can talk normally.
Yeah.
But then and then he just throws Superman around like crazy. I know Superman might be holding back here because he seems to always have a soft spot there for Bizarro. But the art is freaking on point for this one for sure. You can't complain about anything there. And I thought I was digging the story. And then even at the end, I guess Bizarro put some sort of spell on Metropolis or maybe the world, who knows? and everybody starts turning into Bizarro. So what's not to like?
Yeah, well, listen, that's the main thing I wanted to mention about this is I know we both were literally bagging on Bizarro, and the last thing that he popped up and we were saying we don't really like Bizarro and all that much, and it is very difficult to use him, I feel like, in a story, because like you just pointed out, his speech pattern becomes annoying at a certain point. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you I've never read a good Bizarro story, but most of them, when he does show up, it just becomes annoying and he's not my favorite, right? Enter Jason Aaron, who this is the first of a 3-issue arc that he's going to be doing on Action Comics. And I know we also weren't as impressed by his first issue of Batman Offworld, which is technically his DC debut. I wish that this would have been, because I think this is the much better of the 2 books that he's put out so far. I mean, listen, I like the Batman Offworld second issue more, and I'm still sticking with that. I'm a huge fan of Jason Aaron. I've been dying to see him go over to the distinguished competition for years now, because he's been Marvel exclusive for years. That's where I've been a huge fan of his work all this time. But to see him go over and start working for DC, you always have hope that he's going to bring some of what you like of him doing the Marvel stuff over there. And this was a great issue, man. I got to agree with you, man. I like this whole Bizarro take. And the best part about it for me was the realization, the twist at the end, when he's talking about how he kind of disappeared in his hands, like how he dissipated into that portal or whatever. And then, and then he's like, oh, he was crying when he was doing that, which technically he would be laughing. He's like, it makes it seem like this really sad moment where he says, hello, Superman, and he means goodbye, obviously, because it's the opposite. He says, hello, Superman, and he starts tearing, crying. Then you're like, oh no, Bizarro, you feel all bad. And then all of a sudden he's like, no, he was fucking laughing. He fucked us over. He's like an evil.
Yeah, he put a pencil on me.
He's a fucking evil Bizarro. And the whole point, I think, is because he wants him to feel the loneliness that he feels by making this whole world fucking Bizarros, right? And now he's lost his world, apparently.
Yeah.
Well, this was just great, man. The whole fact, him destroying that planet full of magical people, he's just he's turned villain. He's turned heel here. This is a heel fucking Bizarro in this. So, I think that I think he went about it the right way. He's like, oh, you don't like Bizarro? Well, here's a fucking great, different type of Bizarro story I'm going to tell you here. And I think he just approached it excellently, and it was well written and great art. Can't wait for the next issue. And I'm actually excited for this Action Comics idea now. They're going to have different types of writers coming in for 2 or 3 issues. I think we might get some good stuff out of this if they continue to do it this way, because I can kind of jump in and jump out as I please. I'm like, oh, I don't really like that. See you later, right? And then I'll come back if I hear it's a good writer or a good artist or whatever. You know what I mean? I'm down for this. I like that it's only a 3-issue story that Jason Aaron's doing here. So I'm on board for this. Good stuff. What'd you give this?
I'll give this a 4.25.
Whoa, even more than me, I think. I'm going to give this a 4. 4.2.
Well, I've been reading this Superman stuff, so I'm just happy to have a good story in here.
No, I agree with you. 4.25. I was going to give it a 4, but the art's really fucking good. And this was and I don't like Bizarro. So to say that this is a good, 4.25. I agree with you. You twist my arm there. Yeah. No, I'm happy to hear that, Chris, because you were kind of bagging on Jason.
Yeah, and I didn't get this issue. I hope it's on my pull list and they just didn't get it, but I guess we'll see.
Next up, a book I know I sent your way that I kind of urged you to read. So I know, because I didn't know if it was on your radar or not this week, but Zorro, Man of the Dead #1, written and drawn by Sean Murphy here, this is I think first of a 4-issue miniseries through Massive Publishing, which is I think one of the publishers of Whatnot, that comics auction type thing that they got going. Now they have their own publishing. They're publishing comics now, and I guess Sean Murphy now is working with them putting out stuff. So what'd you think of this, Chris?
I did give it a read, and it started a little bit slow for me. I thought, but at least it was just kind of a few pages just to set up the history of what's going on, and then the rest of the comic sort of takes place in the here and now. And you can't, Rick Remender, he can go. Sean Murphy, he can go too, man. He could write a story, and I think he's writing a great story here. With whatever's going on. I'm happy the story's in Mexico. I have fond feelings about that place, so. Just even some of the panels just reminds me of what the stores look like in there. So I think everything is spot on. They got the cartel business going on, and some characters in this here had to kind of choose a side. They have to kind of choose family over the cartel, and I'm happy to see what's going on. And even though that Zorro, I don't know if he's wacky or not, or if he's just kind of playing at the end, but who knows? But I'm happy to read this online for sure.
Yeah, that's the interesting twist about this, because like I think I'd be less interested in this if I mean I picked it up just because of Sean Murphy. I really didn't know what approach he was going to take to this, but this is definitely more of a modern take on Zorro, because while they do recognize the fact and acknowledge that there was a Zorro from back in the day in this issue, and they give you like a little kind of like flashback of him like in action. At the start of this, they're kind of celebrating like a Day of the Dead or something, and like they're kind of celebrating the fact that in this town there in Mexico, like that's where he was from, and somebody's dressed up as him, acting as him, and then yeah, the cartel comes through and they mess everybody up, and they end up killing this girl's father, and then we kind of it jumps to the future where she's grown up now and she's kind of forced to work for the cartel, like she has like no other choice in terms of work, she says. And she's like a runner for them. Like, and basically by the end of this issue, they have to go collect money from the man who was with her father when he died, like, and had all this old mask and sword of Zorro. And he says like, this is actually the real sword of Zorro. And her brother, who apparently is all messed up, I guess, since from the incident of their father dying, like you said, he's a little, I don't know, maybe a little messed up in the head, maybe doesn't really can't separate like reality from like, you know what I mean? It's like a little delusional,
Yeah.
because at the end, he literally thinks he's Zorro. Like after this guy dies in his arms, after that and the death of his father and stuff. And apparently like he doesn't speak, they said in passing in this book, like he hasn't talked to anybody apparently in years. And the sister is even estranged. Like she hasn't seen him in years. And him just showing up at the end there and acting and talking like Zorro after all this shit goes down. You're like, I don't know if this guy, he's a little crazy, it seems like, right? So I kind of like that take on it. I was like, oh, that, you know, that's an interesting, I didn't know that this is where this story was going to go. But like you said, by the end of it, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm on board. I really enjoyed this. It's definitely a different take. And Sean Murphy, you know, this is, he's becoming a good writer, honestly, between this and the Batman White Knight stuff he's done.
Yep.
Yeah, he's really good. And of course, you know, his art's amazing. Like I love his art. So like, there's not much to say there. I knew the book was going to look good. Whether or not I was going to be interested in the story he was telling, that was another thing, right?
Yeah, it's like, who cares about Zorro, really?
Right.
I don't go watch his movies, it's
right.
Antonio Banderas. And well, that Danny Trejo guy.
Yeah.
Like, is he writing this for that guy? Like that guy looks exactly like him, and it's got the same name.
Probably, yeah. This guy right here at the end, yeah. He's got the Z and is carved up in him. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Maybe that's why, I don't know. But yeah, like you said, I'm not interested necessarily in a Zorro comic either. But the fact that he's the one doing it, and it's a 4-issue miniseries, yeah, I'm on board. It's good stuff. What'd you give this?
I'll give it a 4.
Yeah, same 4 as well. Yep. All right, next up we got Fish Flies number 4 from Jeff Lemire here. I know, Chris, you've been on board reading this lately as well. What'd you think?
I've been reading this one online. This is a crazy story here. I don't know what's going on or with this bug that this little girl is befriended, and there's just some wacky reveals here. Let's say, like never mind like the story of kind of her history and what's going on, but I got to talk about the end when the bug is looking in the river and he sees the reflection of the man. Like, does that mean the bug is a man and she only sees him as a bug? Or what's going on?
So I think you just jumped on last issue, right? You didn't read the first one, right?
Yeah, I read the first one. He's the one that killed the kid in the.
Yeah. So what we've been led to believe this whole time is that the fish fly creature guy is that guy who killed the kid. He's turned into this fish fly creature.
Okay.
So
that's what I'm still on the fence about. If he's actually a fish fly, or if she's
right.
If this is kind of just her kind of projecting this on him.
I personally think it's that, like you're saying. So, but that's what I mean. Like, I don't know if it was in the reflection, he could actually see himself, or like you said, if in her head, she's been seeing him as this thing. And that means that it's not him at all, which would make this story, obviously, it's had some dark tones to it, even darker, because she's like on the run with this fucking criminal now, like essentially, that like,
yeah,
kill the kid. but apparently it was an accident and he didn't mean to, but whatever. But you're right. I think that's what's going on personally, but it hasn't been revealed or confirmed as of yet, because the only scenes that we've seen with her and the bug, except for this guy at the end who like approaches them, have been with her and him. Like, so we haven't had anybody else be like, hey buddy, like there you are. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so we don't, we don't actually know, right? If it's just from her perspective or if that's the case. But he does find some weird skin here. So like, I don't know, like, what is that? Like he finds like some skin here, like he's like shedding the skin or something, right? Like, I don't know what the fuck's going on there.
Yeah, and that storyline with the cop, you know, where they're trying to get him out, you know, it's just another layer to the story that's interesting. And, you know, I'm not a big fan of sort of these non-superhero type comics, but this has definitely kept my attention. You know, I think I might have fell off maybe after the second issue, but now whenever this is out there, I'm definitely going to read it up and see what's going on.
Then there's a whole other thing here.
Oh, yeah, with the mother.
Yeah, and the other thing that I'm really, they added another layer here in this issue, is that old man who's apparently been spying on them. There's like some weird like ritualistic type shit going on in the woods.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what the hell's going on there. It seems like there's some guy who actually, maybe he like worships these fish flies or something. I don't know what goes on.
Who knows? He might be the big bad, you know, the true evil in the story. But I don't know.
Yeah, I think this is actually Jeff Lemire has combined the two things he's really good at, and that's like slice of life type stuff and more like supernatural-esque, like weird type stuff like this. And he actually combined them both, I think, in this story. And it's actually working really well, both of those things together, because like I think like you are getting both sides of it, where, you know, there is some grounded stuff here, but then there's also this other fucking weird stuff that's going on where you're like, you know, you can't make heads or tails of whether or not it's real or not, right? So it's some good stuff here. Yeah, good. I think it's only a 7-issue series. It's been coming out bi-monthly and they're oversized, I think. So like, you know, it'll take a few more months to wrap up, but it's been good stuff. Yeah, I agree. It's been a good series. So yeah, here's the scene here you're referring to, with him looking at himself in the water.
Yeah.
And I mean, and she acknowledges it, like she sees it when he's looking in the water. So I don't know. And then this is the tree and the symbolism stuff.
Yeah, the cop is close there. He almost catches him. You know, it's like you almost want to see him, catch up to him, see what's going on. Mm-hmm. But then I guess by the time he finds out where they were, they're long gone in the back of the pickup truck of this weirdo guy that just showed up.
Yeah, there you go. So, all right, what'd you give this?
Yeah, I'll give this a 4 too. This was a good read.
Yeah, 4 out of 5 for me as well. Thunderbolts #2. Bring this up here. Did you read this, Chris? Maybe this is
I didn't give this a quick read just because I saw Kingpin on the cover and just want to see what he's up to. You know, got the Black Widow, and I don't think I read the first issue of this Thunderbolts, but you know, Black Widow, she's sporting a symbiote now, so I want to see how they play this out here. And you know, it's an okay read. You know, I think they're going into the Hellfire Club because I guess the Red Skull has been killed. You know, like I say, this is all sort of new information to me, and they're there to, I don't know, to steal the money from the Red Skull or something, and then I guess the person who's carrying the money is that Vault character. That's what I thought. That was pretty interesting. It's the first time I've seen him, but you know, whenever the Kingpin's around, I gotta keep an eye on there and see what's going on, because especially since he's been such a big character in the X-Men, or pretty much wherever he's been going, he's been a big character right now. So I thought it was a decent issue, and you know, I thought he was going to get a hold of both the widows and take them out. I'm not a big fan of this White Widow. She seems to be too jokey for an assassin, but otherwise, overall, I thought the story delivered. You know, I get to see a bit of the symbiote White Widow. They kind of pull a fast one on the Kingpin, and that's good enough.
I really, really enjoyed the first issue of this series, and I thought this one was a step down, honestly, a little bit. They kind of set up that whole Red Skull being alive or dead in the first one, and that kind of continued into this issue. I really love the characters in this book. I thought the writing's been good. This was like a fun kind of infiltration type issue. Like the missions have been fun. I think the big problem with this issue, and I'd have to go back and check, I don't recall if this is the same artist as the first one, was the art on this fucking issue, though. I didn't love the artist on this issue. It looked bad in places. Like here, going back to this page in particular, like these are all really good looking fucking people.
Yeah, that page could have been so much better.
right? Like this is like, and I'm not saying you got to go cheesecakey with it, but like these are good looking people in every other fucking book that they're in. And here they don't really look all too good in this issue. And like they're dressed to the nines. They're going into this fucking banquet area. They should look a lot better. I feel like, I just feel like I don't know if it's his line work. I don't know. It's very muddy at times. I don't know if it's the inking or the coloring, but the art. And I don't feel like I experienced that as much on the first issue. So unless they brought in some other artists in this issue, this is just like he did not do as good a job if it's the same artist as the first one. That being said, I still am going to read the rest of this miniseries. I think it's only 4 issues. I've been enjoying this. I just think that the art could have been a lot better on this issue. I would have liked this issue a lot more. That's kind of, this is one of those ones where I'm reading it and I was like, yeah, this is all right. I'm like, oh, what the fuck? Why does she look like that? You know what I mean? So, anyways, what'd you give this?
I think I'll just give this a 3.5.
Damn, yeah, because of the art. I would have given it more, I think, if it wasn't for that art, but I gotta give it 3.5. But yeah, I'm still sticking with it. I might pick up the trade. I really like that first issue. I think I like the Thunderbolts as a concept. So Titans Beast World number 4. Let me see here. This is, I think, 4 of 6, right? I think this is only like a 6 issue. It's moving along, this event, which I'm appreciating.
Yeah.
But yeah, did you read this one or?
I imagine. Oh, is this with Peacemaker? Oh yeah, this one's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember this one now.
It's quite the opening of a comic, this one.
Yeah. Like, I know they have Peacemaker as sort of some uncaring guy, but holy man alive. Like, knowing that, I guess once those spores sort of leave the body, that they revert back to human, and Peacemaker just kills both this guy's kids. And he's kind of like, it's like, oh, my bad.
I know, he just comes through blasting and fucking shoots them. He's like, there you go. And he's like, no, that's my family. He's like, oh. Oops.
And then, this character, I'm not sure if he was a known character before, but he opens up some sort of black hole out of his chest or something.
Yeah.
And and they Amanda Waller, like, if they're trying to set up Amanda Waller as a bad character, well, I guess they are.
Yeah.
But it's just good to see the depths that she really is a bad character, or trying to do the best for the humans. She's almost sort of like an Orcus character there.
I thought this was pretty fucking cool too. Gigantica turning into a huge fucking bear. Like, just that was
yeah.
It sounds like holy fuck. Because again, it's like Godzilla like size bear walking through the city, which I thought was pretty fun as well, right? So yeah, this has been a decent event, actually. It's funny. It's like it's
a good comic book event, like you never know who's gonna turn in and who's gonna turn into the whatever. An animal, and then when they do, or what they're going to turn into. Superman, what did he do to one? Was there a whole bunch of those spores coming at him, and then he just kind of put out some sort of bolt or something, and they all just kind of flopped down dead. So it's good to see that Superboy there seems to be impervious. And and then what they do to freaking the Garth at the end of this, I don't know, man. Somebody in DC doesn't like Beast Boy for whatever reason. This guy's getting killed left, right, and center all the time.
This is the only thing that disappointed me when this fucking guy showed up, Dr. Hate or whatever, which is like the leftover from that last fucking event, which like they really haven't focused all too much on in this so far. But like they mentioned him, I think, at the start, and then now here he is showing up, so he might be like whatever end game of this event, he's going to insert himself into the.
They don't need him in this for sure.
I agree. I don't think he's needed, but like he's the leftover that fucking went through that Nightmares stupid event that they did last one. What was it called? Night Terrors, right? So like, I guess we'll see what happens with that. Unless he's just showing up because he's going to stick around and be in the Titans title with Taylor. Like maybe that's why he's bringing them in. He's going to make him the next bad guy in that series or something. But like I agree with you. There's no need for that guy to show up whatsoever in this event. But it's been fun so far. As far as events go, we've talked a lot of shit about events lately, and this has been more on the enjoyable side of things, right? And so
and they blow up freaking whatever Starro or Beasto or whatever they call Garo. That's what they call him.
Yeah.
Doesn't that Oblivion guy go into his head and then just freaking opens up a black hole and freaking blasts his brain?
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
What'd you give this?
I'll give it a 3.75. This is
Same. Yeah, we're on the same page for a lot of these ratings there. Yeah, 3.75. Yeah, yeah, I think that's kind of overall the event. That's kind of where it's around for me right now. 3.75 or 4 by the end, possibly, because this has been fun. Daredevil Gang War #2, continuing this mini series outside of the Gang War stuff. I think it's the only one that we've been reading so far.
yeah.
But what'd you think of this?
The only thing that's been sort of pulling me in, there's supposed to be some new character. I forget even what her name is. But this one wasn't all that interesting from what I remember. You know, the best part of it was this here where you see some old Matt Murdock. They got to freaking get Daredevil back on point. Whatever they're doing with him now, it's freaking garbage. And this just reminded me of it.
Yeah.
Of how bad Daredevil is now. And, you know, that even just leaves freaking Elektra in the lurch. She's an interesting character on her own, but she needs Daredevil.
Yeah, they even reference that fact in this book, though. She even makes a comment about like, "Oh, nice to see you fucking doing this again," or something like. Because she references like, "Oh, he hasn't been around lately." I forgot what it said, but they do reference the fact that he's been trying to live both lives of his fucking priesthood and everything else. And she's like, "Yeah, you know, listen, I don't need him." Like she goes off on her own at one point in this issue, right? She's like, "I don't need him for this." I think honestly, this was a pretty forgettable for me, but I will say the highlight for this miniseries so far has been the art. I think the artist is really good on this. I don't know who they are. I don't think I'm familiar with them, but if this is their tryout, they've been doing a good job as far as I wouldn't mind seeing this artist back again on another title. Honestly, I think they've been doing a good job. Yeah, there's like somebody with Wolverine claws in this. I don't know what this is all about.
Yeah, this assassin or whatever. And then I guess at the end, I don't want to, Madam Mask or whatever, she basically says, you know, you got to go kill Elektra or Daredevil, whatever you want to call it. So,
yeah. Yep. What'd you give this?
I'll give it a 3.5. You know, looking at the issue, I think it's better than I remember it, but I should have remembered if it was better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's my problem, and that's why I'll give it 3.25 out of 5 for the art. I think the art's strong. The story is fine, but yeah. If you don't read that, I think you're just fine just reading the Gang War and the Spider-Man. Sensational She-Hulk #4, Chris.
Oh, I think I had one of the. I guess we have these Wolverine covers, so I got the.
Oh, the Secret Wars one, nice.
Secret Wars Wolverine. I think I got this here. I got somebody else freaking in doing that Secret Wars pose. I forget who it is in some other issue. But that's basically the only reason I bought that one, just for the Wolverine and the Secret Wars pose. And the comic still, it's like I say, this one's the art seems to have dropped off. I don't think it's the same artist that was running in the last few issues or whatever.
No, it's
but
not.
The story itself, it's still good stuff. You know, this bit of a fallout from She-Hulk and Hulk when they're battling in the streets. You know, everybody's not too thrilled with her, and she's, you know, just trying to dodge everybody, and I guess she's having problems with this Jack of Hearts character guy.
This guy's a bum. Let's be honest. This guy.
Yeah, he's a loafer. You know, he's all like, I guess like it works out perfectly for the story. It's like, oh no, I don't want to be around you. I got too much radiation, so I got a jet for a while.
Chris, I just like how when he shows up in this, and they're like, "Oh yeah, no, you can come along with us for the night." He's like, "Oh, all right," and he's like, "Oh man, Avengers, I'm out of here." He's like,
yeah,
it's true because a lot of people hate Jack of Hearts because of the shit that went down with him before he ended up killing Avengers and after he blew up. So I get why, but he's just like, I gotta go. He's
Well, I like the way they can kind of put him in and out of the story. It's not like you just forget about him.
Yeah.
And, you know, just the story here, right? We have Hellcat shows up and she's trying to con Jennifer Walters to come out for a girls' night out. And they meet up with Captain Marvel or Carol Danvers. And just whatever's going on between them. I thought it's just fun reading to see these characters. Like, some of this stuff should be happening in that freaking Avengers comic. Like you say, you're missing that where they're doing when they're, you know, some of their downtime. Like this comic seems to be, you know, you get to see other heroes in their downtime when they're kind of just hanging out. And I think it's just fun reading. Like, and whatever. I think at the end, Patsy or whatever, Hellcat, she goes a little wonky and, you know, you're worried about that. But it's just fun seeing all this stuff that Carol Danvers is like, hey, how come you don't invite me to this? How come you don't invite me to that? And it sort of rings true even to what's going on with in the MCU. How nobody likes Brie Larson for whatever reason. I don't know what that's all about, but they seem to be playing on that same story in here, and I think it's fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's just like also just because of the person that she is, because she is like, like she has been the leader of the Avengers at times, and like she does demand like a certain level of respect because she's fucking Captain Marvel. Like I get that, but she's like, I can be one of the girls, like I can come out fun. Like
I can have fun.
I like to dance. Like what's wrong here? Yeah, no, it's true. So like you're right. I do like that they kind of illustrated that in this. And not only that, like I also like how she handled the thing where like Patsy was like, oh, 3 old fashioned. She's like, don't order for me. She's like, okay, those are all for me. And then she just ordered a Coke. For anybody that doesn't remember, Carol Danvers back in the day, there was a whole thing with her, and and obviously they tied it into Iron Man. She fucking, she was an alcoholic back in like the 90s, right? So then they made this whole story arc, whether or not you're a fan of that story. She's now like not anymore. She doesn't drink because of what happened. Like she used to get really drunk, and that was back in the day when she had that other costume with the black and the tie around her waist there, right? Much more revealing, right, than this new.
Right, she was on the sauce. She was on the hoop.
So, I just like that they kind of pointed that out. She's like, I'll just take a Coke, thank you. Like, you know what I mean? And that's like they haven't forgot. Because for a second there, she's like, oh, 3 old fashions. Like, whoa, as a reader, I'm like, whoa, like, she doesn't drink. What's going on here? Right? I'm like, oh, this writer doesn't know. And she's like, I'll just take a Coke. I was like, oh, okay, good. Thought she was gonna go, like make some mistakes here, which would have been also an interesting story to read. But but good stuff. Not bad. What'd you give this?
I give it a 3.75.
Same. Yep. 3.75. And lastly, Wolverine 41, guys, the Sabretooth War.
Woo-wee, I can't believe you're not buying this.
I can't, Chris. I need the whole run if I start buying it. I need all 40 issues.
No, you got to jump in for this this arc here. I'll start out with the bad stuff, okay? I don't like this freaking multiversal Sabretooth crew that's going on. They don't really need that. I don't mind some of the characters in there. They seem to be good. They kind of do a little swerve in the beginning there where they're fighting people, but it's sort of off-world. Like, you're wondering what the hell's going on. Did Sabretooth just freaking kill a rescued Cyclops or something? Because I think in the beginning they kind of give you the timeline of when the story happens. But once you get through that baloney, oh man, this story takes off.
This was brutal. This issue. Yeah, go into what he does. There's some brutal shit that goes down if you want to.
Well, I guess it's Wolverine's birthday, and as I guess what Wolverine thinks is that Creed or whatever Sabretooth, he's still stuck in the pit somewhere. He doesn't realize that Sabretooth has escaped and done whatever he's done. Looks like he's done a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm not too familiar with what Sabretooth's been up to, but it sort of tracks throughout in whatever Antarctica and their Arctic greenhouse, and then they kind of have these obligatory scenes there with Wolverine, and I didn't even know these people are his kids, but is that Quentin Quire? Is that one of his kids or something too, or no?
No, so Quentin Quire isn't his kid, but the other member of the guy who was in the Alpha Flight book more recently is his kid. What's his name?
Yeah.
Well,
you have that moment. This reminds me of Walking Dead. Once you have this freaking emotional moment where he said, "Oh, take it, whatever. You've done good. Nothing good can happen from that." And man alive, just bad things happen to the people in this story.
I mean, I know they can resurrect them, but like, I don't think this is going to get resolved towards the end of the Krakoa era on the fact that they just all had a feeding frenzy with fucking Quentin Quire. I was like, listen, he's not the most popular.
Yeah, but they freaking dust him.
Yeah, that was fucked. Yeah, I was like, whoa, when I seen this happen.
And they don't even know he's dead yet. They think he's still out there, just doing things.
I thought I was reading Marvel Zombies for a second. I went and looked at the guy.
And then those guys there, they're just standing guard outside, and I guess that's one of Wolverine's kids. and he just gets wiped out. His buddy gets wiped out. Oh, this, like, there is no way it can redeem Sabretooth after this. Like, I know he's always been sort of a good guy, bad guy sort of thing. But after this, like, how can you write happy birthday in your freaking family's body parts?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. This was
that was
like this whole week. It seems like the violence has just been cranked up in comics, and I love it.
Yeah, no, agreed. This was, because you know what, like this is when this shit should happen. Like a feud between these two, like it's existed in comics. So, like you said, like throughout the years, and he even referenced some of the shit that went down in past occurrences and keep that birthday thing alive. Like, and like, yeah, the whole body part thing, I was just like, whoa, that's like, again, this like one of the most brutal things I think I've seen in comics this week. And like, it's well deserved between these two. Also, I like that Benjamin Percy picked up on the fact that Sabretooth is going to come swinging like this, because let's not forget, at the start of the whole fucking Krakoa era, he got thrown into the fucking hole, right? Like, he had to make his way up out of there.
Yeah, he's got a reason to be mad.
Yeah, exactly.
Mutants, he doesn't care about what's going on with this Orca stuff. He's out there to freaking kill.
Yeah. I just that would probably be the piece of art I used for the episode, honestly, because I got to that point this week. I was like, whoa. I was like, I knew Saber, like, they're starting off the war strong in this issue, right? No, I'm with you, lad. I wish I wish I was buying this series. Like, I'm just gonna be waiting for the eventual big omnibus hardcover now at this point, because Benjamin Percy, I think it may have not started out strong, the Wolverine series, but this second fucking half of this 40 issue now run has been excellent. Like, everything I've read has been great, from starting from the Beast stuff all the way down to the Wolverine team up tour that he just had, now into this fucking
series. So like pretty much like the last three sort of arcs or runs, whatever you want to call them.
Absolutely,
they've all been freaking kicking.
Been good stuff. Yeah. So what'd you give this?
I give this a 4.5. I want to even give it more, but like, just because it's a Wolverine comic, but yeah, I love this one.
Yeah, I was going to go 4.25, but you're right. Those moments, those couple of moments in this issue were very surprising for me this week, and I thought it lived up to the expectations. So I'm going to go along with you, 4.5 out of 5 this week. Yeah, great stuff. I just wish I was buying it, like you said. I wish I owned it, right? But
that's a freaking killer cover there, too.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, Chris, that's going to do it for the books that we want to talk about this week, guys. What are we reading next week, though, Chris?
Next week we've got a bit of a decent week. I think we have Avengers Twilight. Looking forward to that. I've seen some previews for that, so that's looking pretty interesting. Bit of sort of an old man world, I guess. Jackpot. I'm not really looking forward to it, but I'll read it. Hopefully it surpasses my expectations. We have Amazing Spider-Man 42, White Widow 3. Not looking forward to that. X-Men 30. Definitely looking forward to that. Batman, Superman, World's Finest 23, Catwoman 61, Wonder Woman 5. It was one of my favorite comics last year, so let's hope they can keep the story going. And then some stuff that I might just be reading online, or maybe getting. Who knows? Superman. They kind of throw that on my pull list every once in a while. I think that's 10. Got the Capwolf stuff. Haven't been digging that too much lately. Nightwing. Hopefully I don't freaking put that on my pull list. I think I stopped it, but that storyline has been freaking kind of falling off the rails there, and it's not looking good for the next few months. So until I see something in those solicitations that picks me back in, I might be taking a break. And Titan 7, I imagine it's more of the Beast World stuff. So I'm happy to read that online.
Yeah. So for me, Batman, Superman, World's Finest, like you mentioned, was it 23. I got Amazing Spider-Man 42, Avengers Twilight 1. I'm also very much looking forward to that. Enough of this fucking Jed McKay Avengers. I'm really looking forward to this to be Avengers book right now. Black Hammer, The End, number 5, as that's coming in for a close soon, that series. Capwolf, I agree with you. The last issue was not great, but this is the end of the series. This is the 4th and final issue, this one, so that's good. Cobra Commander, number 1.
I think I'm getting that too.
Yeah, that I'm very much looking forward to after Duke, number 1. I'm looking forward to that. Creep Show, Volume 2, number 5. The last issue of the miniseries comes out next week. I'm looking forward to that. I still got, I think this is the final issue I've pulled, but I got Daredevil #5 on my list because I have the Wolverine variant cover for that. So I got that.
I might have it there. I have to double check.
The Deviant #3, which has been a great series so far, that comes out next week. Phantom Road #8, which I always enjoy, as well as X-Men 30. And like you said, Wonder Woman, Nightwing, that's on my list. I'm just looking at any things I might be reading online here next, because I didn't have that written down, but those are ones that I pick up, so not ones I read online. Just looking to see if there's anything else here. Nightwing I'm picking up. Superman 10 I might read online. Titans I would read online. Yeah, Wonder Woman and Nightwing I'm picking up. What else we got here? Let's see. Marvel. Anything else from Image that I'm reading?
Well, I think I might be getting a Scorched and Spawn. Got Spawn 349 and Spawn 350 is coming up. There's supposed to be some big things going on for that.
Yeah, Scourge comes out next week, but Spawn doesn't, according to what I'm looking at. I don't know if that's correct or not, but yeah, Scorch is coming out next week, so you got that. Yeah, I'm just looking at Marvel now. Let's see if there's anything else I read online for Marvel, but I think that might be it. Oh, FF comes out next week, so I'll read that. Fantastic Four. Oh, Iron Man, of course.
Oh.
Yeah, of course. I might check out this I think I'm ordering the Jackpot and Black Cat mini series. Like, I'm gonna check that out, but I didn't pre-order this Jackpot #1 shot that's happening.
Okay, it's one shot. Good.
Yeah, this
I'm liking a bit more.
This is a one shot happening during Gang War. Like, and then the next thing that comes out is the Black Cat Jackpot mini series. Yeah. Adam Hughes cover. That one I'm gonna try out. I didn't pick up this one shot, but I might check it out online if you're gonna read it. Yeah, I think that's it though. Otherwise, yeah, I'm not reading that White Widow. No, that was not good. The first issue. That's the third issue anyway, so I'm out.
Yeah,
I think that's it. Yeah, I think that'll be it for next week though. So there you go, guys. Those are some of the books that we're going to be looking forward to reading next week. But yeah, honestly, great week of comics. I do want to say that once again because I feel like every few weeks or every couple of months we get a week like this, and this is honestly, yeah, the best week of comics, I think, in a while. Like, I think that even we talked about 2 weeks last week. I think the better.
Yeah, they're both so.
Well, no, I think the first week of the new year was better than the last week of last year. So I think we're off to a good start so far this new year. But yeah, not in comparison to this week, where I feel like almost every other book was a bang. Every book was a banger. There's a couple of ones that weren't so great, but there are ones that I feel like I didn't pick up or just things I read on a lark online. So this was a great fucking week of comics. So I do want to say that because whichever doesn't get picked here, check back what we said about some of these books this week. There's a lot of great contenders. So our favorite book of the week, Chris.
It could be anything. Could be Ultimate Spider-Man. It could be Rise of the Powers of X. Could be Wolverine. Could even be Superman. Superman's in the running.
Action Comics. Yeah, that's right.
But maybe just because we talked about it last, I think I'm going to go with Wolverine. Wow. Give a shout out for Wolverine.
Nice pick.
Uber violence. I love it.
That was Wolverine 41. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
41. Let me write that down here. But yeah, I mean, listen, don't always pay attention to the ratings. Like, I'm not, but yes, I did give this book a 5 this week, but you're right. Rise of the Power of X, Transformers, Sacrifice, Action Comics, Wolverine. There are some great fucking books this week that also got fucking high ratings close to this. But I this is my favorite because I do got to give a shot, not only because Hickman stepped up to the occasion, but because it is also Spider-Man's. But I got to give it to Ultimate Spider-Man #1. This just gave me a real big hope, and I'm glad for the future of this book. And I'm just glad that he didn't fucking mess this start up, because like this is one of those highly anticipated books where I'm just like, I hope he doesn't drop the ball here. And this gave me hope for the future of this title. So I got to give it to Ultimate Spider-Man #1. But I agree with Chris.
It gives me hope for Ultimate Spider-Man is now Amazing Spider-Man. Better freaking they got to pick up their pants there. They have some competition right now because from what I read, a lot of people might be dropping Amazing Spider-Man and just freaking ride the Ultimate Spider-Man wave.
It's funny because I just had a conversation with somebody at the shop the other day about this. And after he had read Ultimate Spider-Man one as well, He said he had it pulled for him at another shop that he didn't get to, like where his list is. And he purposely went to another shop that he was close to at that time to pick it up and read it because he was so highly anticipating it. He's like, it's fine. I'll get another cover. I'll have 2 issues of this, whatever. He didn't care. He's just like, I need to read this book because the buzz that was going on. He's like, I wasn't going to make it to my LCS this week. Then he said, yeah, to your point, he said, we talked about Amazing Spider-Man. He's like, I haven't been loving Amazing Spider-Man lately. This, on the other hand, was fucking spectacular. Like, I'm all on board for this. So, yeah, I don't know, man. Like, it's interesting. I mean, listen, I love the original Ultimate Spider-Man by Bendis. If this is a return to form of like, and with a Peter Parker Ultimate Spider-Man as well, because like obviously after the Peter Parker Ultimate Spider-Man series, after he died, then became Miles Morales, and we got Miles Morales out of that, which has been a great character too. So like the fact that there's still enough for him to go back to the well and reestablish a new fucking Ultimate. I mean, listen, this is one issue out. A year from now, we might be saying, well, that was shit. But this gave me fucking big hope that they can actually pull something out of this concept still. And we live in a world where there's fucking 50 Spider-Man now, Chris, with the Spider-Verse shit, right? But like,
the good thing about this Ultimate Spider-Man 2 is all the freaking Easter eggs in there. You got Matt Murdock there. He was the priest at the memorial, so he's out there. Everybody's out there, but you don't know where they fit in. And it's not a giant world, so they might have to fit this into the Ultimate Spider-Man, because the X-Men seems to be a freaking taking place in freaking a different land. And who knows what they're doing with Black Panther. And those are the only 3 titles out there so far.
Well, they did announce that there is going to be an Ultimates like Avengers series, so they did announce that recently. But you're right, that's the only stuff that's been solicited so far. So I'm looking forward to the Ultimate series. I'm probably going to check that one out. But you're right. It gives hope that they were able to fucking do. And the nice thing about it too is like it's the potential that this has. Like you said, it's like the Elseworlds version of Marvel, essentially, that they can actually tap into here, where DC does this shit all the time. Marvel really doesn't, like, other than like, the odd out of continuity miniseries. Like, this isn't like something that they normally, but this is one where they've established that this is the new Ultimate Universe, and they acknowledge that the 616 is still in play as a multiverse type deal. Like, it's not like these 2 worlds cannot talk to one another, right? Like, so that's what's pretty crazy about it. Like, it's like this is them just reestablishing that, like, we're back, like, because they fucking put an end to the Ultimate Universe. They brought Miles over. That was it, right? And like, who knows? Maybe they'll bring him back over there now. So it gives it. That's the thing. That's the biggest takeaway. You're right. It's the potential and the hope that this could be a new good start of interesting stories coming out of this side.
Like, you imagine down the road a crossover between Amazing Spider-Man and Ultimate Spider-Man.
I mean, I would love it. I would love it to get to. Yeah, I would love it. Like again, a lot of potential, but also a lot of potential to drop the ball too. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, right? So, anyways, this is still comics we're talking about. So, all right, though, guys, that'll do it for this episode. But yeah, great week of comics once again. Make sure to go back and check it out, some of these if you haven't yet. And we'll see you next week here for another great episode of Comic Shop Talk. Thanks, Chris.
All right, thank you.
Later.